What's going on? It's your man Corby Hill, a.k.a. Hustle Simmons, doing the Launchpad Live right here in, of course, Hustle City, which is also known as Boston. Welcome into the building.
Oh,
Good
man.
friend of mine,
Appreciate
Mr.
you for
David
having
Banner.
me, man.
What's going on?
Wonderful, man. We
Hold on, I'm feeling a little underdressed right now. I mean,
well, no, it's
No, I know.
funny. Yesterday, I spoke in front of Trayvon Martin's family,
Okay.
Oscar Grant's family, and then I came. I went straight to the airport, came here. I speak at Harvard tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I'm representing hip hop on another level.
Definitely.
And it's very important for me to show people. And it was funny when they introduced me. That was one of the things that they were saying is like, hip hop has a lot of facets to it.
Yeah.
I think that we haven't had an opportunity to really explore, how intelligent and how much hip hop really has to say, and that our generation is not only just rappers or thugs or whatever people think.
Yep.
We have doctors and lawyers, and
Of course.
the next generation will be a hip hop president, regardless of whether we want to admit that or not. So
Yeah, let me tell you a story. I went and got, I had to get some work done, some surgery done, and when I was coming through and they were finishing up with the surgery, the doc was playing The Chronic in the headphones. I was like, word, I like this guy. I'm joking. That was a good one, though.
Yeah, and it's for me.
It's going to happen, though.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. Well, it
What-
is happening.
One thing I tell people is that, we're going to be leaders by default because our parents are definitely going to die. So whether we like it or not, we have to start being prepared for it. And I just thank God, and I definitely thank the people for giving me the opportunity and believing in me enough to allow me to speak for them.
Well, I think, I've known you for a while, and I've seen the transition you've had in your career and where you started, where you are, and where you're going to continue to go. And I think you're the person for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you talk to somebody and when you look at somebody and you can feel and hear what they're saying and believe it because it is a whole package, then I think that's an effective person to be able to handle that role.
Right. For me, every day, I just try to work on me being a better person. And I think it'll manifest over because it's one thing I can say. Not that I'm proud of my past, but I've been through most of the things that a lot of rappers talk about.
Okay.
And I tell people all the time, that's not my crutch. That's my utility belt.
All right.
Now, if I have to pour a can of whoop ass off and drop it or sprinkle it on somebody's ass, it's cool, But the thing, it was funny. We were just at high school this morning, and
what was the name of the school again? Was it
New Mission? Was in New Mission.
New Mission. Shout out to New Mission.
All the kids in New Mission.
Yeah.
We went out and spoke to the kids this morning, and one of the things that I was telling them is that we have an obligation at this point to do for our neighborhoods and do for our cities. We have to stop begging and hoping that somebody's going to mysteriously show up and do it. The same way it's my responsibility to go back to Mississippi and represent Mississippi. If I'm coming through this town and I'm going to speak at Harvard, there's no way that I'm not going to go and speak to these kids. We beg, and that's one of the things that honestly motivated me. As rappers, we've gotten to the point where rappers become so corporate, all we do is take. We take and we beg people to buy albums and we consume. But what are we going to give back? What are we regurgitating back to the hood? What messages are we doing to counteract some of the things that we have to do, honestly, in order to stay current? And that's basically what I'm doing. And not as much as people may think that I'm doing it for the community. I'm doing it for my spirit, too. Because if you keep taking and taking and taking and taking and taking, and you just become fat and sloppy.
I hear you. I want to go back and touch on the topic of what you did yesterday. I know we spoke a little bit before we turned the camera on, and you touched a little bit on what type of feeling it was with speaking with Trayvon's family and in that situation, man. So I mean, if you could touch on it a little bit, maybe like. What was that like?
Honestly, and usually rappers, we're taught to stick our chest out. Man, I honestly had to walk away from the church.
Okay.
Like literally, it was so powerful because when we stand up for situations, it's usually stuff that we don't have a personal connection to.
Yeah.
With the exception of Katrina, because I was down there the day after Katrina happened. We talk about stuff that happened in cities or things that we didn't actually know the family. you know, for me to see Trayvon's mother and to meet his father, and what's crazy is for his father to even be a David Banner fan. Like, that was even crazy. That's what I was telling you. We were getting to the point where all of this stuff is our generation and it's directly affecting us. Dude, I look at the camera and tell you, man, like, it brought me back to right now, in the present. I was in the moment. And to understand, like, we have to grow up. Like, hip-hop is you know, so in the club, we so popping bottles, and the world is crumbling outside of the club.
You ain't lying.
You know, and all of our fans have to go back to that reality. And now with the state of hip-hop, a lot of the rappers is going back to that reality.
Yeah.
And it's time for us, with the little power that we still have, we got to do something about it.
I feel you. I have a similar story to I probably shared a lot of the same emotions and the same feelings you had when you spoke yesterday with the family. About 2 months ago, there was a project here put on by a group called Anonymous Boston. And basically it was geared towards families that had lost a child due to violence in the city. So it was the same thing. I went. It was an art exhibit. It was really beautiful. They had, you know, pictures on the walls of families holding pictures of their lost ones. And I came in and spoke on a panel and played some music on the final day of the exhibit. And it was all the families whose pictures were on the walls. So it was very similar to that. Like, while I couldn't make it around the whole run.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But just because you could just see the pain, and then to turn around and actually see the live physical mothers, fathers, brothers, uncles, daughters, and everything in person, it was just like, you know, it sprung me into the same thing, like a moment type thing. And it really sprung me personally into, what am I doing to help?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if I feel like I do a lot of stuff for the community, but I don't feel like it's enough, and it's like, what can I really do to really further help?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just a funny feeling, man, because, like, I don't know, I'm just the type of dude, I like to help people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather see somebody smile as opposed, that makes me happier than me smiling. And so when it's tough to wipe, you know, a sorrow off someone's face, it's kind of hard for me to digest sometimes.
So let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a question.
All right, let's
so tell me, how do you think it feels for me as an artist, as we start growing as not just, you know, artists and musicians, but as men, and then you start questioning the fact, you know, as many good things as I do in the community, is my music more detrimental to the same community that I'm trying to help as, you know, more than anything else? Like, how do you think that
So the balance is?
Yeah, because
the struggle you go through inside.
Inside, because what happened to me is that that's why I took those 2 years off for a second. You
were battling with it?
Yeah, I'm talking about battling with it bad.
Well, I'm sure. How do you say this while you're talking, and then while you're rhyming, say that? Is it that?
What the thing is what people don't understand is that the things that we talk about in music, they are a part of our lives. And in my career and in my albums, I always have a balance. My albums are always balanced. But our singles become a part of this bigger conglomerate. And you know, people are so single driven now that they really don't get the full message of the full story.
Well, here you go. I think here's a good way for you to digest it, and this is just off the top of the head. I think, I don't think a lot of people would, you know, there are artists out there that try to touch certain subjects, and unfortunately, in our community, in our hip-hop world, those don't tend to be that successful. So those people don't really have the attention of those people. So there are people that put out the songs that do get the attention that might not be the right message. But what's fortunate for you as an artist and as a man is that you get to make that music, but you're one of the only ones out here that get to tell the other side of the story. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of artists that say that, but there's a lot of artists that don't have the avenue to be able to then come with the follow-up.
So let me expound on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
If it wasn't for Like a Pimp, I wouldn't be speaking at Harvard tomorrow.
Hey, I don't know about that, because what I know about you, you're a very driven man.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, but I can say that might have helped.
Yeah, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help the point. But
no, you're right. You're right.
But you
get to further explain. A lot of artists we don't know anything about. All we do is see the record, we see the way they talk about this, we see the way they talk about that, and that's all we get. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem with our hip-hop, and I think that's where our problem with hip-hop lies, is that I don't know anything about any of the new artists that come out now. because all they talk about, and I don't want to, you know, they is such a bad word, and I'm sorry for using it. I don't like to use they.
Can we stop for a second? Yeah. She just told me. She said you have to stop saying they. I'm talking about right before we walked in here. She said you have to stop saying they because people can back you in the corner and interpret what they are. Period.
Exactly.
All right, good one. It's a lot in the building right now.
We're all on the same page here. I like it. But so I think that's where some artists, there we go, I'll switch it up. That's where some artists lose on longevity because I don't know anything about them. And the fans don't know anything about them. If all it is about popping bottles and, you know, you pushing this and you pushing that and you sell this and you sell that, that's all great because, you know, people do that and you might have done that. But if we don't know anything about you personally, what is there really to attach to?
The one thing, and we can tie this back into the Trayvon Martin case, and we're going to talk about the Bruins. And
Yeah.
The thing is that the thing that I'm afraid of now, not just as an artist, but as a man in the community, is that it goes from being an aspect of our community to supporting a larger picture. You know, in the Trayvon Martin case, to me, I told people it's about a child dying, but it's also the perception that America has about young black men. And whether we want to admit it or not, basically people were saying that if you don't make me comfortable, you can die. And we have gotten to the point where we have convinced our children that that's what they're supposed to be. A lot of us was thugs because we didn't have no choice. A lot of us hustled because we didn't have a choice. But now, in our brothers and sisters that we talk about, they want to be killers. They want to be in the hood. Like, we were that by default. That was just the situation. But we got these kids that are in upper middle class, who are not in these situations, who actually make it worse in the jail system because they not built like that. So then, you know, as soon as they get in any trouble, they snitching and telling everything. So it's getting to the point now where we have, and we don't even know it. We've fallen into all of our kids, and this is not just a white or black or Latino thing. We have fallen into supporting. We started supporting a system that has always been stereotypical, that's always tried to graft us into something, and now we're playing directly into it.
Well, so, I think the non-use of they will help with that too.
It will.
Hello, camera. All right, let's talk about, since we are in Boston, and it's just so funny how everything sort of like happens, and you're here to comment about it, which is really dope to get a hip hop perspective on it. We were talking about it earlier, and if people don't know what's going on, Boston Bruins lost in overtime the other night to, we were playing the Capitals, and which is crazy. Like, it pisses me off. I was born and raised in Boston, spent a lot of time in South Carolina, Charleston, what's up? CSRA, what's going on? Barnwell, Augusta, G-Spin, what's happening? So everywhere I go, and I travel a lot, man, like, as soon as I say I'm from Boston, Boston just can never kick this stereotype of being, let's call it what it is. I mean, people think it's a very racist city. You know what I'm saying? I beg to differ because I'm not really in that circle. I think no matter where you go, I think racism exists. I think Boston, in the upper echelon, I think there's a lot of racism. And I think it's like we spoke about a little bit earlier. It's like some of those people that you just can't get them. It's hard to get them from the 60s, even though it's 2012. But getting back to the story, so we lost in overtime. The person that scored the goal, I forgot his name, and I apologize for that, was an African-American hockey player for the Capitals. And I guess one of the reporters here in Boston for one of the newspapers had tweeted something out along the lines of it being karma because the goalie from the Bruins didn't go to the White House last year when we won the Stanley Cup because he didn't agree with government. And that just opened up the floodgates. I know you saw it lightly in the newspaper, and just all this blatant racism just coming out of anywhere, and it just, wildfire. It was crazy.
It was really strange because I'm in the Boston newspaper this morning because I'm speaking at Harvard tomorrow. But that was the first thing when I opened the newspaper. That was the first thing that I saw, and I was like, damn. You know.
Well, okay, here we go. I know you've been to Boston before, but what before you came to Boston the first time, what impression did you have from the city, or you know what I mean? Like, did you have like, oh, Boston, oh man, it's all the white boys?
Well, not really. I've known historically, you know, from watching the stuff that a lot of the Celtics players, a lot of the first Celtics players went through.
Yeah.
You know, we all hear different stories, but I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the stuff that I hear and the stereotypes. I usually like to come to a city and feel it for myself, because I know the things that people say about Mississippi.
Yeah.
But
hold on, time out. I like Mississippi. I played baseball in college.
You got in trouble when you went to Mississippi.
We played Jackson State every year, and I won a lot of money.
Right.
Because a lot of people in Jackson, Mississippi, like to come to the games and like to talk. And I like to put the money on the line. I won a lot of money, man. Everyone on my team thought I was crazy. I'm going. Jackson was great, man. Shout out to old school Scrap 30 that was down there and everything too.
For me, bro, what I'm saying is this: is that it's like a psychedelic '60s. We were just talking about that. A lot of racism is coming to a head right now, and the thing that upsets me the most is that even black people, we're not admitting that there is a problem. And unless we literally put it on the table, because the only thing this is the thing that I love about Mississippi more than anything in the world. If white and black people don't like each other in Mississippi, they tell each other. They let each other know what it is.
I think that's throughout the South.
And they put it on the table, and then we can deal with it. The problem is we're acting as Americans as if it doesn't exist, or that we're such a great nation that we'll move so far past that. I wrote in my news. I wrote in my presentation, you know, that I'm saying at Harvard tomorrow. I was like, it's like having cancer, and the body stops giving the symptoms. It doesn't mean that the cancer doesn't still exist. Just that means that you're not getting any symptoms anymore until you're about to die. And I think that's the same thing. The interior structure of America is being eaten away because we're not admitting that there is a problem. And it takes something like this, you know, for people to actually tell their true feelings. And one thing that I don't like about Twitter is that you have all these people hiding behind icons. They're hiding behind fake pictures and fake names.
Yep.
But you really get in the tone of where we are as Americans. And, you know, for a hockey player, it's already rough enough, you know, to be in a league where you're one of 6 or one of 4.
Yeah, whatever it may be.
You know, and for you to do well and, you know, for people to not criticize you as a team, because I know teams and we loving teams, that becomes competitive. But for you to bring it to race and allow it to rise to that level really shows who we are as Americans.